All right, you guys, it's time. So, Dr. Heiss, Rebecca Heiss, jump on in. I'm going to spotlight you. And it's so
Here,
nice to have
here.
you. Yay, so nice to see you.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Rebecca is so very busy. So, the fact that you could be here is such a true pleasure for everybody. Thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure, truly, and I apologize for the background. I'm in a lovely hotel somewhere in the United States. So, yeah.
You're not going to give your exact location right now.
You know what? I'm in Miami, so it
Good
feels
enough.
like the Miami vibe going on. So, yeah.
That's
Although, catch me
awesome.
while you can. Tomorrow I'll be in Arizona.
That's about, sounds like you. Yeah, you're
Yeah. Yeah.
very in high demand. High demand, you guys.
Well,
Okay.
I'm very lucky to be able to do this work because it's so meaningful, and especially with educators, I am so grateful to be here. So thanks for having me, y'all.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to tell everyone like your expertise because then when we have the questions, they know what you're coming in here with. So everybody, listen up. Rebecca truly is a stress expert. She's dedicated to transforming the fear that we have into fueling it into something that's going to actually help you. So how about that? We're going to talk about the T, is it T, do you say it like T3 minus technique? Did I say that right?
T minus three. Yeah, T minus
Yep.
three. Yeah,
Okay. I did that wrong before too.
you're
Um,
good. You're good.
yeah, but that's okay. But there's a new book, and what's really cool is all your stuff is in it. So I can't wait to share it with the world. All right, let's just get started here. What do you like? What message do you send people?
Yeah, the biggest thing here, and I think this is really contradictory to what so many of us hear, is I don't want you to get rid of your stress. Okay, full
Mm,
stop.
mm.
You're fighting the wrong fight, right? Trying to get rid of stress, you're not going to get rid of it. It's not going anywhere. Stress is always going to be there. And instead of trying to get rid of your stress, which actually results in us stressing out even more as we try to get rid of our stress, my ask is that we transform our stress mindset. So we think differently about what that stress means and how we can use it. Because at the end of the day, stress and your response to it, that stress response is a feature, it's not a bug, right? So we have to learn how to use it and recognize that that is energy. And that is our body's way of preparing to rise to the occasion, to perform. So that's the big message of the new book Springboard, and what I'm here to talk to you about today.
That's awesome. And you know that we're working with people who are in education, so there's a lot of stress and anxiety there. Why? Why is there so much anxiety and stress in our schools today?
Because you care.
Hmm.
I wish, I wish I could take away all your stress and anxiety, but if I did, you'd be really sad. Because first of all, the only people that have no stress and anxiety are dead people, and that shouldn't be our goal. And two, the research that we've done correlates meaning and purpose to high levels of stress. So, in order to live a meaningful and purposeful life, you also have to live a stressful one. And for those of you that are like, I don't know, I feel like I could live a pretty meaningful life with a little less stress. Let me ask you the question that I asked people during this research because I think it's really important to recognize this. I want you to think about a project or an accomplishment that you are most proud of, right? Now go back in time to when you were in the middle of that project.
Hmm.
What was your stress level on a scale of 0 to 100,
Hmm.
right? And most of you are probably saying 242, right? Like you're way off the charts stressed out. And that's exactly what our data showed. About 4% of people, I think, are liars. They have like little stress, when they're accomplishing these really big goals. But the vast majority of us were stressed out of our gourds. And so the challenges and the power really comes in recognizing that as you're at those very high levels of stress, you're also developing meaning and purpose. And that is actually the barometer for how much you care.
Hmm.
And incidentally, when Olympic athletes are breaking world records, right? We're not breaking world records at practice. We're breaking them. We're performing at our peak under stress, anxiety, all of the fear. And so it really is energy that we can utilize.
Wow, that actually is a great perspective. It gives hope. It really does give hope.
Good, good. That's important.
Yeah.
Hope is so important. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So all right, let me think about it like this. Can you actually just describe how you approach it differently then?
Yeah, sure. So I'll walk you through the T-3 technique, and it starts here. It starts with a tiger, right? So our stress response is really built for 3 minutes of screaming terror through the jungle or the savannah, getting chased by tigers, lions, and bears. Oh my, right? So we have this massive stress response. And the problem with that is most things in our day-to-day life are not actual life and death situations, right? So while we respond as if it's a tiger, it's not a real tiger. So rather than trying to avoid the tiger, which is what most of us do, we procrastinate, we don't have those difficult conversations. We might, get on one of these and just kind of scroll and doom scroll because that's a form of avoidance as well. Um, Instead of that, my ask is that you invite the tiger in for tea. And
Mm,
here's what I mean by that. Name the stressor, understand the stressor, get curious with the stressor, have a little conversation with that tiger to better understand it. Because curiosity and fear cannot coexist. There's literally no brain mechanism for it because for 200,000 plus years, nobody ever had a tiger charging them and went, huh, I wonder how fast it's coming, right? So when we can get curious, when we can invite that tiger in rather than running from it, we begin to transform that stress. So that's step one. Step one is recognizing these pings, these dings, these parent phone calls, these difficult students. They're not actual tigers that are going to kill and eat us in the next 3 minutes. Step one, it's not a tiger, which means we can begin to utilize that energy differently. And this is where people get a lot of the stress response wrong because they try to calm down, right? They're like, I'm gonna go get a massage, I'm gonna meditate, I'm gonna do some breathing exercises. And listen, y'all, those are all good things. Go do them. I'm not trying to say like don't do self-care,
mm,
but
mm,
none of those things will actually mitigate your stress response. I hate to tell you it. Like none of them will actually help you with stress. So instead of trying to calm down, which is not something that you can physiologically do, like think about this. The last time I had like a really stressed out situation and I told my adrenal glands, hey, y'all, it'd be really helpful if you didn't release adrenaline right now. Like they don't listen. So you can't physiologically calm down. What you can do is transfer that energy because energy can't be created nor destroyed, but it can be transferred. And so what we're going to do is we're going to transfer all of that stress energy into tiny little actions. So step one, tiger. It's not a tiger. Step two is the transfer stage. And the transfer stage is all about deciding how can this be an adventure rather than an ordeal. Because our body gets the exact same hormones and chemicals when we're excited about something as it does when we're anxious or scared or in stress about something. So we're going to start deciding the story that I want to tell is one of adventure. And then the third T is the trajectory. Now we've got all of our butterflies in alignment. Where do we want to point them? And this is one of my favorite things because this requires action. The trajectory is the action stage. What is the small step that I can take into the stressor, not avoiding it, not running away, but into that stressor that is then going to make a small difference. And as teachers, as educators, one of the most powerful things that I learned in doing this research is, we looked at 90 different workplace interventions, breathing, meditation apps, massage, all of those things I was talking about before, and none of them affect our stress response, with the exception of one thing, and that is service to others. When we serve others, that actually helps to mitigate our own stress, which I think is so powerful, especially in the positions you're in. So, what is that small step that you can take as a service to your students, to your colleagues, to the parents, to the administration? To how can you take that small step in service to others that will ultimately be in service to yourself? So, that is the 3-step technique, right? Tiger, transfer, trajectory.
wow. It's so easy to remember. It's so easy to do. Now, let me ask you this. I'm going to challenge you a little bit because I
Yeah,
know you can handle it. So, we're in an industry where we're doing service all the time.
all the
So,
time.
how, and I know you get this question a lot.
Yeah.
How do you address that? How do you say to somebody, do more service when I'm already serving all day and I feel depleted? How would you
Ah,
address that? Because I know you have research on this.
Yeah, and this is really important, right? It shouldn't be a one more thing to do,
Right.
right? Instead, this is the transfer that I want you to make as you're doing that service. I'm not asking you to add to your to-do list. In fact, like that's the opposite of what I want you to do because I don't want you to feel like you have to go do meditation or do any of these other things. You are not broken. The system around you is broken, right? So this isn't a, oh, let me go do more service. This is a recognizing that every time you're in that stress, every time you're handling that situation that is just blowing up around you, you are actually doing service for others. And so in that moment, that recognizing that shift in your mindset is what is going to allow you to alleviate some of that stress.
Yeah. I knew you'd have a rock star
Thank
answer.
you for saying that. Because golly, the last thing I want y'all to do is get off this call and be like, okay, let me go volunteer some more hours. Holy smokes. Yeah.
Right. Well, and
Yeah.
you did say that before, but I think sometimes when we feel down and depleted, like in this space, I think that's what we hear. And what
Mm.
you did say earlier was the shift. It's the energy shifts. It's not about going from one to the other or dropping it. It's shifting it. So I wanted to clarify that.
Yeah,
That's great.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. Great point.
Okay. Well, okay. So what helped you discover this kind of research? Because this is important research.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I feel like we all go into the thing that we need the most, right? And I definitely needed some stress relief. I am a high performer, type A, really driven, and I was experiencing a ton of stress in my life. I quit my job, sold my house, and divorced my husband in a single month. And all of this research that I had been doing in the lab, I suddenly needed myself. And
Hmm.
so I actually began applying all of these techniques to my own life and was like, oh my gosh, this actually.
Oh, hold on. We can't hear you. You went mute. It's not your fault. It's just muted. Go ahead and unmute. No, hold on. What happened? Josh is my person.
Hopefully I'm unmuted
Got you.
now.
You got you. You
Okay,
are unmuted. It's weird. I
cool.
think how things jump, but I want to make sure people hear that because you were talking about how you were struggling. You noticed you were in the lab and
Yeah.
you needed what you were doing.
Yeah. And so I actually applied this to my own life. I was N number one. I was the first case, I think, of applying all of this research to my own life outside of the lab. And I was like, oh gosh, this really works. This is really helpful.
Hmm.
And so I began doing more research outside of the lab and applying it to real life situations and collecting data. And we found remarkable results. Everything from, I don't know if you all are familiar with heart rate variability, but essentially that's one of the measures of physiologically how well we adapt to stress. And using these techniques, you have higher heart rate variability, which is, you're able to adapt to stress better, to lower levels of perceived stress. So the idea of like, oh my gosh, I'm really overwhelmed, those moments are fewer and far between. And even recognizing and transferring anxiety and stress into more meaningful measures, recognizing that this is like, oh, yeah, this is valuable to me. This means something to me, and I care. And that's really powerful in aligning, purpose and meaning to your life.
Wow, that's awesome. So it's so nice when you did the research and you applied it. And so now you have that firsthand account to share with people.
Yeah,
It's
it's a,
super
it's a
powerful.
double whammy. It's a double whammy. And
Yeah.
I come from an education background, right? So, I was in the schools. I was teaching in high school. I was teaching in colleges. I was teaching at grad school. And so I recognize how stressful those positions are. And certainly I know these techniques will work and help you as well.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I don't know that everybody knew that you actually were in the school. So you get it. Totally get it.
Been in those trenches, my friends. Yeah.
For sure. Okay, what's the most powerful way we can actually use this?
Um, The most powerful way you can actually use this is by applying any of those techniques in any amount. So, like, I'm always looking for the minimal viable amount that is helpful for people. And even if you only remember it's not a tiger, right? If you get as far as to go, that email, that ping, that ting, that ding, that's not going to actually kill me in the next 3 minutes. That major screw up that I had, I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to grow from it. I'm not going to be dead 3 minutes from now. When we get to that stage, just recognizing that it's not a tiger, that's really powerful. In fact, I want to share. there was a there was some research done in 2013 that looked at 30,000 Americans across 8 years' time. And this is probably the most powerful thing. And I am going to apologize in advance to you all because it's a little bit of a scare tactic, but it's valuable information. Um, and this study looked at, again, 30,000 Americans across 8 years' time. And they asked the question of these people who were under a lot of stress, like, first of all, how much stress do you feel like you're under? And do you believe that stress is harmful to your health?
Hmm.
Now, I'm going to ask the participants right here, like, do you believe that stress is harmful to your health? And I'm going to guess, because this is the data that we saw, about 90% of people are like, yeah, it's pretty bad. Like, this is what we read. And that's because we have been bombarding people with this idea that stress is bad for you for decades. Like, the health and wellness industry benefits from you all being scared of stress. And to some extent, that's true. So let me go through this study a little bit deeper, because what the study found is that people who have very high levels of stress, I'm looking at y'all, who believed that stress was bad for them, died at very high mortality rates, at about 43% higher mortality rates than average. Now, let's look at the second. I know, Brianna, that was my reaction too. Joshua, I get you, right? Now, here's the good news. I know it went dark. We're going to give you the good news. The good news is that people who have very high levels of stress, again, look at it, y'all, and simply believed that stress wasn't necessarily bad for them, that it was just energy, that it could be utilized differently,
Hmm.
that it was preparing them to succeed, that any different story. They had the lowest mortality rates of the entire study,
Wow.
lower than people who had very low levels of stress. So, what that means is that it's not stress that's bad for you, it's the belief that stress is bad for you that's actually killing you. And that is really powerful. So now I'm gotten all of you guys stressed out about your beliefs about stress, right? So again, this is a simple mindset shift. The next time you're feeling it, all I want you to do, I'm fine, everything is fine. No, all I want you to do is to say, "Oh, okay, I know what this is. It's not a tiger. This is my body preparing me to rise to the occasion." That little shift, even if in the back of your head you still don't believe it to be true, just lying to yourself will have that same effect. And you'll be able to outrun some of those scary statistics that I presented earlier. So pretty powerful stuff.
That is so powerful. Okay, now imagine, and I know you have, but everybody listening, imagine a building full of people who can shift their belief into leaning into the stress.
Mm.
Right now, how do you teach people to do that? Do you get in
Mm.
front of a bunch of leaders and say, this is how you should, like, do you have a plan for that?
Yeah, Charlie. So this is one of the best ways to do that is to model it. And I talk a lot about choosing adventure versus ordeal. And this is in the sort of the transfer stage of that. It's not a tiger. Okay, how do we get into the adventure mindset? How do we decide that this is a good thing? There's possibility here. And one of the ways to do that is actually to act as if. So this is not a fake it till you make it. This is just acting as if this is an adventure, acting as if I care, but I'm not stressed about it. Now, listen, full transparency here, right? You are still going to be anxious. You are still going to have those alarm bells going off. But if you smile, if you open your body up and you lean in and you speak with confidence, here's what ends up happening. See, humans are incredibly contagious, like emotionally contagious. and others around you, but that reflects back. And I'll give you just one other experiment here that I think is really powerful. So we think that we smile because we're happy,
Hmm.
but that's not fully true. We actually are happy because we are smiling. So full stop, think about that, right? This was an experiment where we asked undergrads to put pencils in their mouth like this, and it kind of forces a smile, right? It kind of forces that smile. It's a grimace, really. But what happened was their body released more happy hormones and convinced them that they were happier. And then they laughed more and they found more enjoyment from the lectures they were going to. And so, again, this idea of faking it till you make it, well, kind of, but just acting as if I am excited. There is some learning. There's a possibility to grow here. That's the real power.
Wow, Rebecca. I mean, that is something that people can implement today in their
Yeah.
life and truly make a difference
Yeah.
and shift the belief because not only were their thoughts, well, they'll be thinking it, but their body response will match that.
That's it.
And you
That's
give
it.
it,
And
you
that body response actually mirrors and changes the way we think and the hormones that are released.
amazing. I mean, it's something that education, any system, not even just education, systems need.
Yeah.
Real problem, like problem systems, there's so many of them,
Yeah.
absolutely need.
Yeah. I
Wow.
agree.
Okay. So, can you point us to any other resources? Because this is tremendous information.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'll point you to my book. That's the
Okay.
first place, right?
Let's do
So
that. Yeah.
all of this is in my book. Brand new, just released September 2nd. It's called Springboard: Transform Your Stress to Work for You. I'm super, super excited about it. I would love for y'all to pick up a copy. I will do some giveaways. Certainly grab the first chapter. I also just released a course that accompanies this book, and it is targeted really for teens, young professionals that are really struggling because look, the research that we've done on Gen Z is terrifying, doesn't begin to describe it.
Mm,
You all are working with a population that is really, really struggling with stress and anxiety. And giving them this information early on, having them practice it, I think is going to be clutch for creating a functional society of adults. So yeah, so
this is
those
awesome.
are available.
That would be a great book study for any high school teacher, anybody working with teenagers, young adults, anybody working with people who are transitioning to the college level. Wow.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll say, along with this book, any of you, by the way, any of you that buy this book, um, please by all means send me the receipt or something that says, "Hey, I bought your book. Um, I was on the conference call." Like, just let me know that you were here, and I will send you my workbook for free. So it's like
Wow.
almost as long as my book, and it has chapter guides and discussion questions for doing group studies and things like that. So,
Oh
yeah,
my goodness, that is huge because it's tangible. It's something we can use right now. It's something
sure.
every single school needs. Every person could benefit from it.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you for that. And thank you for providing all of these resources. That's amazing.
It's my pleasure. I mean, truly, I want to be a PR agent for stress. I think stress has gotten a bad rap in these years, and we need to be putting it to use rather than trying to get rid of it.
That is great. Yeah, and Kayla just bought one for her Kindle.
Oh,
Yes. So there
thank
are,
you.
yeah,
I
there's
got you,
varieties.
Kayla. I got
Yes. And so Kayla, you've got to get in touch with Rebecca. So we did put your, okay, we put your website up there. Did she just email you?
Yep, just email me. Just email me, Kayla. Let me know. Like, I see you. I'm sorry. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna do this right now. After our time is up, I'm gonna put a link for anybody that's on this call to go ahead and get the free workbook. And I'll put it right in the chat.
That's a wonderful, wonderful offer. You guys have got to stick around for that and make sure you scoop that up, please. And we did put the link there for the Amazon book. Like you just go right there and just go pick it up. You guys clearly need this. You can apply this to anybody in your life. So this is great. Rebecca, thank you. Is there anything else that we need to know right now? Like how do people reach out to you? What else do you got going on?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've got a couple other things. The easiest way to reach out to me, I mean, find me on Instagram at Dr. Rebecca Heiss. You can go to the website. You can reach out to me on the website. It'll be me or my manager if you go there. Otherwise, just reach out to me directly. Don't be afraid to slide into my DMs. I will respond to you. It may take me a minute, but I will find you and I will respond to you. You can find me on LinkedIn. And yeah, I'm a professional speaker. I run my mouth for money. This is literally what I do. And I know you all do so much more than that. And I see you and I appreciate you, and you do not get the recognition nor the payment nor anything that you deserve for the difficult work that you do. So if there are ways that I can continue to support you, your district, your students, by all means, please let me know. And I'll throw in one more one more little tidbit because I've got a little bit more time and I want to make sure I say this.
Great.
Um, so one of the things that I have been trying to scream from the mountaintops is the cost of inaction. And right now, I think so many of us are so overwhelmed with budget cuts and, AI and technology, like all of these things are just taking over, and we're like, oh my gosh, how do I even begin? And it stops us from doing anything, because we fall very quickly into this learned helplessness state. And just a quick update on that. There's new research out. This is not learned. Okay. Nobody is learning helplessness. This is default. Our brain defaults. And this is really important to know for your students too. When they decide that nothing they do changes their circumstances, and you can create learned helplessness in like 30 seconds. I've done it in large groups. When you create that story, your brain defaults to shutting down and saying, forget it, I'm out.
Hmm.
And I think many of us are falling into that space right now, going, there's nothing. I have tried and tried and tried, and I can't shift this administration. I can't shift this. I can't. My friends, the only antidote to this is practiced hopefulness. And what that looks like are small steps in faith, in hope, in prayer, in whatever it is that you believe in, forward toward the stressor, not away from it, not adjacent to it, but directly into the stressor. What is the smallest action you can take to make that tiny, tiny, tiny change?
Wow.
Now I'll shut up.
Wow. I don't
But
want you to
it's so
shut up.
important.
Nobody does.
So important.
Wow. So just spectacular. Truly such great information. Oh my goodness.